This message is endorsed by me.
And the voices in my head.
Anyways, what's up everybody? I don't really have a title for what this is gonna be. I'm gonna basically just review a bunch of cool stuff that we have here at Nash Powersports. Give you guys my thoughts on it, go take it for a spin, you know, talk about some of the features and stuff like that. And who knows, maybe you'll find it interesting. For today's episode, number 1, I'll call it, we got the Can-Am X3 XRC Turbo RR. That's a lot of letters, so I'll kind of run you through what all those mean. First off, the X3 is Can-Am's sort of their flagship unit here. It's probably the one that you've seen over any of the social medias out there. It's one of their most popular units. You probably see these everywhere from the trails to the dunes to maybe even the street if you live in a state like Arizona. XRC, that little acronym there, is gonna be their rock crawler model. So the X rock crawler, so to speak. A couple of things you're gonna notice right off the bat that are different than some of the other X3s out there are gonna be a different set of tires. You're gonna have these nice thick rock guards here for some things like your control arms and a little bit thicker skid plating underneath the car. Up front, you're also gonna get a pre-installed Can-Am 4,500 pound winch and their nice thick bumper right here. So you can go bashing it around and pull yourself out of anywhere that might get you stuck. Let's go take a rip in this thing. I'm hungry, let's get some food. Gotta make sure to stay safe. Wrap up that dome, kids and adults. Also, this thing won't go over 12 miles an hour if you don't have your seatbelt buckled, so always make sure to wear your seatbelt, okay? Can-Am safety feature. Push to start on this guy. Pop that guy on, and we're ready to rip. CVT transmission, let's pop that into high gear real quick, and we'll take off. The nice thing about having a CVT transmission is you just have one gear that you have to wear. You just put it in drive, and you just go. There's no funny business. All right. As we take off, you might hear behind me, there's a little bit of a tire chirp. That's gonna be that rear locking differential, which is really nice to have when you're on, you know, looser surface. Having a locking differential distributes power evenly between the two tires that are controlled by that differential power-wise, which allows you to be a lot more stable and have a lot more traction over loose surfaces. So gravel, slippery rocks, if you're going through like a water crossing or something, or sand, that helps a lot too. So we're gonna take a little brief detour into the dirt here so we can kind of test out the suspension a little bit on this guy. So I don't know if you could hear the turbo flutter like we can in the car, but this thing is turbocharged. It's putting out 205 horsepower, which for a car that weighs only about 2,000 pounds is pretty respectable. So being turbocharged, you're definitely gonna get that power right on demand. So Can-Am's been really good about tuning their cars to operate and sort of run high amounts of boost. And it really helps for the driver experience. You got power on it, you can punch. It's very punchy, very torquey on the throttle. It'll, you know, really helps when you're getting into some of the more technical stuff and you just need to get that wide open throttle right away. You can just punch it and it'll just go. And again, on that note, as far as off-road goes, the suspension on this thing is solid. I mean, it is not exactly a surprise because it is meant to do this. It is, you know, a performance-built machine for off-road, but the suspension on this is super, super smooth. You got those Fox 2.5 reservoir piggyback up front, and then you got the remote reservoir in the rear. So those shocks, that setup right there is amazing to begin with, paired with the way that Can-Am does their suspension geometry. As far as in the front, you've got that dual A-arm. In the rear, you've got trailing arms and a 4-link. Super nice, right? And you can kind of blast through whoops, rocks, sand, really anything, and it just eats it all, really. It just eats any sort of terrain you want to point it towards. So you can also, as far as, you know, being a driver for one of these things, it really helps when the cab stays fairly stable. You know, you can kind of blast through stuff. You have a little bit more confidence as a driver than in a car that has really stiff suspension. You might have a little bit of a problem there. You might get a little nervous if you're jingling around all the time. The other cool thing about this is it does have the dynamic power steering system, so you can actually change how much assistance you want from your power steering on the fly. So say I'm bombing through a whoop section at like 80 miles an hour, you get what's called bump steer, which is where you're getting bumped. Every time you hit a bump, your wheels are getting tossed a different direction. That can be really uncomfortable. It makes it really hard to drive and honestly can cause an accident. So what Can-Am did is they decided, hey, we're gonna make it so that you can adjust your power steering so that if you're on the fly and you're whipping around and you need to be a little more stable at higher speeds, you can turn down the power steering and avoid that bump steer. The other cool thing about this car is, you know, if I press this button right here, now I'm in eco mode. So we're on the road right now. I'm maintaining just kind of a steady speed, nothing crazy. And if I just want to maintain that steady speed, I want a little less touchy of a throttle, pop it into eco mode, saves you fuel. If you're just cruising like we are right now, you're gonna want it in eco mode for that reason. Then if you want it a little more punchy, you hit it with sport mode and then you just, boom, power on demand, like I was saying. Super awesome to have that. And you know, as far as driving a car like this, it's really nice to have that touchy throttle for those, you know, higher speed applications and such. I might get in trouble for this. What kind of McFlurry do you want? Can I get one Oreo and one M&M McFlurry? Then can I get 2 McChickens, the spicy ones, and a medium fry? And that'll do it for us. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Have a good one. Now the cool thing about this is even though it's a 72-inch wide model, you can still fit through a McDonald's drive-thru. This thing, that's where that power steering comes in handy, because you can make tight turns pretty easily with something as big as this. Did you know if you work here, you get a free uniform? Thank you, thank you. The Can-Am Maverick X3 Max has 4 cup holders, 1 for each passenger. So you can fit all your McFlurries. Let's ride. One of the big things about the X3, any side-by-side really, you got that nice airflow, so who needs fancy air conditioning, bro? You don't need it. You can just whip it like this, bro. Nice and easy, nothing crazy. All right, let's showcase some suspension here, folks. Now, being here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, we don't have a ton of rocks to showcase here. This is the best I could find. But, you know, for a pile of loose boulders, this thing does pretty good. All right. Now, as we arrive back to the dealership, kind of to cap it all off, the Can-Am X3, specifically the XRC model, is great for someone who's an all-around rider. Now, it is more honed to the rock crawling type of riding, but it's very, very versatile, can do pretty much anything that you want to do. 4-wheel drive, locking front and rear diff, that nice cushy suspension, paired with that turbocharged inline 3-cylinder engine, really gives you the amount of power that you need anytime that you need it. Now, whether or not you're going out on the trails, in the forest, up in the woods, or if you're going out to the dunes, slapping a set of paddles on it, or if you truly are using it for rock crawling, if you're going out and you're doing a 4-wheeling trip, maybe some overlanding, what have you, this is really gonna be your rig. Now, somebody who's brand new to side-by-sides, this is gonna be the be-all, end-all for you. There's really nothing more that you could ask for in something that can roll straight off the showroom floor and immediately go wherever you want it to. So, as far as the X3 goes, I've driven them, I've crashed them, I've loved them, and I will continue to. Can-Am's doing some cool stuff with this car, and I can definitely tell why it's really, really popular. So, all right, folks. Now, as far as a rating for this machine goes, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It's comfortable to drive, it handles amazing, it's comfy, and I really feel confident in the abilities of my machine in any type of trail that I'm on. So, definitely would recommend this to anybody looking to get into the side-by-side game, or maybe even somebody who has had a side-by-side and is looking to upgrade. It can really do anything that you want it to. So come on down and check one out, come see me, and I'll give you a free McFlurry.